Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ruth Ann and I own Abundant Blooms Flower Farm. And I'm going into my 6th year of flower farming. And today we're going to talk about 5 years of flower farming lessons that I've learned. So let's just jump right in. So first of all, I just want to say that just to tell you a little bit about myself. I am in Michigan. I'm in West Michigan. I farm in zone 6A. I think they just switched it. We were 5B and I think we're 6A now. And we own 2 acres. Like that's what our home is on. We live on 2 acres. And so we have about an acre almost in production, but some of that acre, or about half that acre, is really young perennials and woodies that I've gotten more into in the last year or two. So that's just a little bit about me. Outside of farming, I am a mother. I have 5 children who are very young. They range from age 1 to 9. My oldest and youngest child have the same birthday, and they just had birthdays 3 weeks ago. So my baby is 1 and my oldest is 9 now. So I have very young children. And I also am a homeschooling mama, so I homeschool when in the winter and in the fall and the spring. But so I'm homeschooling in my spare time, and actually not, that's like a full-time job. But so I homeschool, and I'm a wife, I'm a sister, other things, but daughter, those kinds of things. So, but just to know, like, there's more to me than, obviously, than just farming. And I think that's the case with a lot of us, right? Like, this is what I do in my time, but my husband has a full-time off-farm job. So we have a lot of security. He brings in an income, and we have benefits, and he gets vacation and those kinds of things, right? So we have that as well. So my husband works full-time off farm. He does a lot of work on the farm, actually. I wouldn't be able to do it without him, but that is how we are set up. I stay home with our 5 children, and somehow I manage to farm and sell flowers. So I'm going to tell you 5 lessons learned in the last 5 years. So I'm going into my 6th year. So I have 5 years completely done. And just to give you a really quick synopsis of my flower farming journey. So I actually started in 2020. And I had 3 children at the time. I had a baby, like 18 months, 19 months, 20 months, right? So he's a September baby. So that summer he was quite small. And then my oldest 3 children are really close in age. So I had an 18-month-old and a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. My first season, I started by selling bouquets, actually, through a man in my church who sold vegetables at a farmer's market. And he said, "Hey, I'll take your flowers to market and sell them for you." And so I sold them at consignment, and I sold the flowers, through him. And that was okay. That really didn't do anything. Like, I really didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about a whole lot of stuff. But pretty much my goal was, can I make bouquets? Can I grow flowers? Can I harvest flowers consistently and get some experience? And so that was fine. That was my first year of flower farming. Then the second season, I did that, but instead of doing it twice a week, I did it once a week, and I started selling to florists. I sold to 3 florists my second year, so 2021. I could have sold to more. I just wanted to do it really well and just learn how to do it and serve a smaller amount of customers and do that well than be overwhelmed and not do a good job. So that's what I did my second year. My third year, I sold primarily to florists as well. Same with my 4th year, and then this past year as well. So pretty much from my second year, after my second year, I stopped selling with that other vegetable farmer, and I've just sold primarily to florists. I've done a few other things. I've tried to do a CSA one year. I sold at one market, like one pop-up market over Mother's Day once. I don't know. I mean, I've sold a few other things, but primarily I've sold to florists. To say, I actually love selling to florists. But so just so you know the scope of my business, um, I started growing on what, like 120 by 80 foot, and now I have almost an acre. So that's kind of just a really quick synopsis of my farm and what it looks like. So here are 5 lessons that I've learned, or 5 things that I think are really important to know as a flower farmer starting out, or, if you've been in business for a year or two. So the first thing is to start small. I mean, people say this, but I really think that that's the key to my success, is that I started small. That's why I'm still in existence. So I started small with a small amount of space, a very small, offering. And then, like I said, even my second year, I started selling to florists. I only sold to 3 florists. Because I really wanted to do a good job, and I didn't want to overextend myself, and I wanted to create these relationships. Interestingly enough, those 3 florists I still sell to this day. 2 of them I sell to every week. One is a little bit more. I mean, I sold to him this past season, but not quite as like the same tier of customer. But so start small. Now, here's the other part of that, is to start with low investment, high return. What does that even mean? So this is the advice that Lisa Mason Ziegler from the Gardener's Workshop. If you don't know who she is, you should look her up. She has all kinds of resources, free resources, a podcast, different things. But I took her course, Flower Farming, the Basics, after my first year. So that 2020 the winter of 2020 to 2021, I took her course, the Basics course. And this is what she just like really, really, says this over and over. So what does that mean? So that means that you start with low investment. What is a low investment? Well, seeds. Seeds are really cheap. 100 sunflower seeds, or 1,000 sunflower seeds, I should say, cost, well, at that time they cost like $20 or $25. Now it's like $35. But it's really not that expensive to buy 1,000 sunflower seeds. What is expensive to buy is 1,000 tulip bulbs, 100 peonies, bulbs, or bare roots, ranunculus corms, perennials, woodies. I mean, these things are expensive. And if you're just going into your first year or 2 of flower farming, how do you even know you're going to still be there in 5 years? Or if you're even going to like it or want to do it, or your life circumstances aren't going to change, or that you don't have customers, you don't even know who to sell these to. So you're going to buy tulip bulbs for 50 to 70 cents, or you're not even going to be paying wholesale pricing because you don't know what you're doing. And then you're trying to sell them and you don't have customers. It's just not wise. So I started with only growing seed annual crops. And then at the end of my second year, I took my profit and I bought 160 peony roots, bare roots of peonies. And so that was my first big investment, perennial investment. And I'm really glad. I'm looking out at well, they're all cut down right now, but looking out at my peonies, my first planting of peonies is behind me in the field. And they did great. I sold tons of them this spring. So, but I didn't start that way. I started with sunflower seeds, cosmos seeds, zinnia seeds. These are low investment, high return. And they really are. Now, I have evolved. I don't still only grow those things. I do also grow annuals, but I grow tulips now. I grew tulips for the first time in my 5th year of flower farming. And I think people think, oh, that's crazy. Like, why wouldn't you invest in tulips before then? Because tulips are expensive. Even when I was sure I would have a place to sell them, I had to choose. I only had so much money, and I don't go into debt in my flower farm. So I had to choose. Am I going to buy tulip bulbs, or I could spend $1,000 and buy a bunch of woodies? And that's what I chose to do. And I am so thankful for that choice. I have made so much money on those woodies, and it was a really, really good choice. Not only that, but it has differentiated myself from other flower farms in the area, I think, as well. So start small, low investment, high return. Um, the subcategory under this is you don't have to grow quickly. Start small. So I have had 2 babies since I started flower farming. I have been pregnant twice. I have delivered babies. Both of the times it was in the winter. I delivered my 4th child, which was the first pregnancy I had while flower farming, in January, and my 5th child, which was the second pregnancy I had while flower farming, in November. So, but I was I always go late. So I was a week late, but I was planting peonies on my due date. Like, it was actually pretty intensive until that November baby was born. I had 2 babies while flower farming. And so that means I had 2 newborns. I had 2 infants. I've had 3 toddlers, actually, because when I started, my 3rd child was a toddler. So I have had really little kids, and flower farmed. So you're not going to be super efficient when you have infants and toddlers. You're just not going to be. You're going to be stopping, and you're going to be nursing the baby, and you're going to be picking up all the plugs that the toddler dumped out of your plug tray, and all that kind of things. So it's just part of the territory when you're flower farming with young children. And so I think that was also part of it. Like, start small and don't burn out, and take care of yourself, and realize that you can't do everything. Okay, number 2. That was kind of really long and had like multiple parts. Number 2, focus on what's working. Like, focus on one way of selling until you're really, really, really good at selling in that way, and then you can branch out. I'm actually not a very good example of branching out because I sell to florists, and that's really all I want to do. I did try other things. So it's not necessarily bad to try other things. Even this past season, I was like, I really want to try and sell some retail. And I did a Mother's Day pop-up, which I have never, ever done a pop-up. I've never done a farmer's market, which I don't want to do farmer's market. I've never wanted to do a farmer's market. That doesn't work very well for the way we want our family culture to be. So, but I did sell at this pop-up, and it was so much work. It took so much time. I'm telling you, it is so much easier to sell to florists, but that's how I feel. But I also have established relationships with florists, and I've worked with them for 4 years now. So for me, that is florists. Now, maybe for you, that's, selling some kind of retail or at your roadside stand or your CSA or something like that. But for me, that was selling to florists. And I think it's really, really important to really, really focus on 1, maybe 2 sales channels, specifically when you're starting out, until you can maximize those sales channels. And then if you're like, okay, I'm selling to every florist in whatever mile radius, then maybe you can branch into another area. That has worked really well for me. In my 4th season, I was pregnant with my 5th child. I have never in my entire life been so exhausted. Like, literally, I've never been so tired in my entire existence as when I was pregnant with my 5th child. I only sold to florists. Like, I did not do one single other thing, and I went into the season like, I am only going to sell to florists. Yeah, I doubled my revenue from the prior year. Really well for me. All right, number 3. It's all about relationships. I think that this is true no matter how you sell. I think this is true whether you sell through a CSA, through a farmer's market, through retail, through my children are playing outside, or to florists. Like, people might not think that, but oh no, it's all about the relationship that you have with these florists or whatever customer you have. It is totally about a relationship. It's about being a real person to them. It's about having phenomenal communication skills. Like, my yarrow, or that's not a very example, like, my delphinium is short, and really explaining, okay, like, this is what my delphinium looks like, or just having really, really, really good communication. Hey, I think I'm going to be short on this order, or I know you really want Buplurum on this day, but it's not blooming yet and I can't guarantee it. Or just having really, really open, really good communication is so, so, so important. So it's all about relationships. In the off season, it's all about, how can I communicate better to my florists? How can I stay in contact with them? How can I still let them know that I'm here? That I do in the winter, I just did it this past winter, was I sent out like a year ago, I sent out a card in, I don't know, February or something, and I had a really beautiful picture of me and my farm, and I said, see you soon, I think. And I just wrote inside to like 7 or 10 florists that I serve regularly, and was like, oh, I'm coming back, I'll see you soon, different things. um Two of them texted me when they got the card. Oh, thank you so much for your card. I can't wait to see you in the spring. And I saw it up in 3 of their shops. They had it taped up on their board, like behind their workstation, or even like in their shop. The one, it was visible like even to the customers. And it's still there. I actually was just at this one shop 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, there's my card from last from last February. It's still displayed in their shop. So what does that make them do? That then they have a picture of you in their shop that they're looking at every day. And even like the employees said to me, oh, we just loved your card, and what a beautiful picture, we can't wait to get your flowers. So it's all about the relationships. It's all about relationships, whether you're selling retail, wholesale, florist, direct. I think it's all about relationships, no matter how you sell. Okay, number 4, quality is queen. Um, you have to have high quality flowers. I mean, I sell to florists, so I'm trying to get florist quality flowers. So I want super tall, straight snapdragons. I want, I just want like the tallest, biggest, most voluptuous flowers. And so that's really that there's just no way around it. Like if you have any inclination that, oh, the zinnia has like a chomp out of it, like a bug bite, like a bug has eaten it, or if there's any question like, is this gonna hydrate, is this kind of old, is this, no, if you question it, you just throw it in the path. Do not sell that flower. Do not sell it. It is better to sell a flower, or it's better to not sell a flower than to sell a bad flower. And I think that this goes across the board as well, but especially when you're selling to florists. Now, does that mean I've never had a florist contact me and say, this was bad or something? No, I have had that. And sometimes it's something I can control. Sometimes it's something I wasn't aware of because I was inexperienced. And sometimes it's like, one time it was like, I was like, oh, this flower's really pushing it. And they weren't happy with it. And so I refunded them, of course. But so it's all about quality. I have profitability is key. What I really mean by that is you need to know your numbers. You need to know your numbers. You need to know your expenses. You need to know your revenue. And that could be a whole thing in and of itself. But I have kept track of all of my sales and what flower sells. And I do that with a website called Rooted Farmers. That's what I use for selling all my flowers to florists, and that tracks everything for me. So yes, I pay for it, but it also tracks what flower sells, who buys, all these different things. It's tracking everything. It keeps track of all of my numbers, like of selling. And then obviously I have a bookkeeping system as well. You need to treat it like a business. It's a business. You need to treat it like a business and pay yourself like a business. You're not going to get out of the hobby farmer category until you're selling flowers and making a profit. I don't know about you, but for me, this is not about having fun and just trying to have money to buy seeds to support my hobby. No, this is a business. This is my farm. We're seeking to make money off of it. And it's not about just getting a couple extra $1,000. No, it's keeping track of it. This is a real business. It's not a hobby. And so it needs to be profitable, which means I need to know my numbers, or I'm never going to know if I'm even profitable. And I need to know, hey, this flower is not worth it. I need to stop selling this. I need to sell more of this. And you're not going to be able to make those decisions unless you have data and you're driving your decisions based on data. Lenny Larkin always says, data not drama, or data over drama, something like that. And it's really true. Like, you can't be making decisions based on, this is my favorite flower and I just want to grow all dahlias because they're my favorite flower. No, if the data doesn't support that, then you need to not be focusing on that, or focus on something else, or figure out how to make it more profitable or something. But you can't be making decisions based on what you like or based on the drama. You have to be making decisions on sales and what sells and who's going to buy, and making profitable decisions. And so so profitability is key, which that could, yeah, I think I said this, that could be a whole thing in and of itself. But I think part of profitability being key means simplicity is key. This has kind of been being talked about a lot in the flower farming world. Lenny Larkin has talked about this. Jenny Marks talked about this. Lisa Ziegler talks about this. You have to know, you have to be simple. If you're growing 80 different flowers, you're going to have just a lot of inputs and a lot of things going into that, and you're probably not going to be as profitable as you could be if you were just selling, half of that. Or are all those things really profitable? I mean, are your bachelor buttons really profitable? Or are they just a total time suck? Or have you learned and changed the way you grow them to make them profitable? They are profitable for some people. I find them a pain in the neck. I don't grow them anymore. So simplicity, which leads to profitability, that's key in it. So 5 lessons that I've learned in the last 5 years of flower farming: start small, have low investments with high return. Don't start by growing tulip bulbs. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Start by growing sunflower seeds and zinnias. So low investment, high return. Focus on trying to sell out of one sales avenue before you grow into another sales avenue. So you're maximizing sales avenue before you start dividing your focus into other sales avenue. 3, it's all about relationships. It's all about the relationships that you have with your customers. 4, quality, quality, quality. You're not going to have good relationships if you have bad quality. You have to have really high quality, and you have to know that. And maybe I could do a whole video on how to have good quality, or, what things go into good quality, or how do you learn about that. But quality, quality, quality. And 5, profitability is key. You need to know if you're profitable, which means you need to know your numbers. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Please comment below if this is helpful to you, or if there's something else you would like to learn more about or dive into. I really have valued so much from other flower farmers who have put themselves out there and shared their knowledge, and that's just what I'm trying to do in a small way here. There are a lot of new flower farmers, and I don't consider myself like a master by any means, but I certainly do have some experience. And I think maybe in my next video, I'm going to talk about my evolution of my flower farm, which I think is just super interesting to know about people's journeys and to know where people are coming from. So if you think that'd be a fun idea, comment below and let me know. And otherwise, I will see you next time. And I hope you, just live abundantly. Until then.